So let's hear it for Buzzy Jackson. Come on. Buzzy!
I didn't realize that we needed a title for this, so I think the title would be Elevator Pitch. It was 1995. I had recently graduated from UCLA, moved to New York City where I knew virtually no one. I was looking for a job and it wasn't going well. English majors. Probably the reason I was in this predicament was my dad. My dad, John Jackson, writes mystery novels. He lives in Montana, and through my whole childhood, my parents were divorced, and we would conduct most of our relationship through long-distance phone calls. Remember paying for long-distance phone calls? And which he would tell me these long stories about his life, all the fascinating people he had met, adventures he had had, and so on. It was inspirational to me. It made me want to live an adventurous life. And so I tried to do those things. In high school, I was an exchange student in Australia. In college, I was an exchange student in Barcelona, Spain. And that actually led to me working for NBC Sports at the Barcelona Olympics in 1992. And one of the first people I met there was a girl named Sarah. We became great friends. Sarah Brokaw, daughter of Tom. Tom Brokaw, you have to understand, at NBC is like the Pope. I mean, I'm an atheist, I'm not really sure, but I think he's like the Pope. He's like an invisible presence you feel everywhere. That may be God, I don't know. I never met him, I never even tried to meet him, because I mean, what would you say to Tom Brokaw? I have no idea. So anyway, fast forward a few years later, I'm in New York City, Olympics are over, college is over, I'm feeling like my life is over because I cannot get a job and the money is running out. Now, my dad was still trying to sort of inspire me, and we would talk on the phone. He'd say, you know, just get out there, honey. Just talk to people. Just put yourself out there. Just be yourself. You know, easy for him to say. He did try to sort of hook me up with a few job interviews. I got one at Vanity Fair, an interview with the fashion director. I went into the interview, and she said, tell me your feelings about fashion. And I said, you know, I love fashion. I mean, it's not the be-all and end-all, but it's great, you know. Yeah, that didn't go well. And that was kind of how it was going. So I finally thought, all right, I'm going to call one of my old contacts at NBC Sports. I still know nothing about sports. But I called them, and she was nice enough to say, okay, come over to Rockefeller Center, we can have a chat. Now, this wasn't an interview, it was just a chat. But I went, and I wore my one interview suit, you know, and I went to Rockefeller Center, and I got in the big fancy elevator, filled with people who all had jobs, presumably. And we go up. After a few floors, they all filter out, and I'm there by myself. One more floor. Door opens. There he is, the Pope. Tom Brokaw. Tom Brokaw walks in the elevator, looks at me, gives me that nice, friendly Tom Brokaw smile. I've seen it 20 billion times on TV. And doors close, and we're both standing there. It's just the two of us. It's very quiet. And I hear my dad's voice, and he's saying, talk to people. Just get out there. Just put yourself out there. And so I think, okay, don't think of him as Tom Brokaw. Just think of him as Sarah's dad. And so I turn to him, and I say, hi, my name is Buzzy. I used to work in the Barcelona Olympics in 1992, and I worked with your daughter, Sarah, and we were friends. And anyway, I never met you there, but anyway, Olympics. And he looks at me and kind of smiles, and I think, shit, okay. Okay, and I hear my dad, just be yourself, just talk. And I think, okay, my dad. And I say, you know, it's a funny thing. My dad lives in Montana, you have a ranch in Montana. I know that because Sarah told me you have a ranch in Montana. And she said, maybe sometime when I'm in Montana, I should come by the ranch and maybe we could see each other. And anyway, Montana. And he looks at me and kind of, I realize I'm sounding really stalkerish. And I don't think, stop talking. I just think, there's got to be some other connection I can make. And then it hits me, that exchange program that I had done in Australia. I had a friend there, Susan, from Yankton, South Dakota. We were good friends, and she had taught me the Yankton Town song, and she had also taught me one other thing about her hometown. The only famous person to ever come out of Yankton, South Dakota, Tom Brokaw. So I take a deep breath and I say, I know the town song of Yankton, South Dakota. And he just looks at me, he says, you do? And I say, yeah, it goes like this. Yankton, pride of the Dakotas, proud of the city we call home. I stop to give him a chance to join in, but he doesn't do that. And I say, Yankton any time of year, good things always happen here. Yankton, pride of the Dakotas. And he looks at me. It's very quiet. And the doors open, and there we are at the NBC Nightly News floor, his floor, and there's about 30 people standing outside the elevator looking at their fearless leader, Tom Brokaw, the Pope, and this young woman drenched in sweat, holding a fake leather briefcase, kind of panting, and a guy with a headset leans in, he says, Tom, and Tom Brokaw says, what did you say your name was again? I said, Buzzy, which didn't help. And he says, it's okay, she's friends with my daughter. He says, nice to meet you, Betsy. And he walks out, the doors close. And this story does not end with me getting a job at NBC Nightly News. But that night, I did talk to my dad, and I said, oh God, you can't even believe how embarrassing it was. And I was singing this song, and I don't even know why I was singing this song. I don't know. And my dad laughed at me. And then he said, I said, I just don't think I'm ever going to get a job. And he said, well, I think you'll probably get a job. And he said, but you got something else that's really, really good. And I said, what? And he goes, well, you got a good story. And I said, okay. And I realized that if I wanted to lead an adventurous life like my dad, it was going to be necessary to put myself in humiliating situations like this. And as you can see, I am still following that advice. Thank you.